Greetings, everyone! Welcome to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the world of Golarion, the setting of Pathfinder role-playing game system, and learn about an interesting character in this world? I hope you. I am going to be your host and guide here at Dracovin, opening up a gate to Golarion to take us there, so grab my hand. Remember to tip and like and help out your guide here, liking, subscribing, ringing the bell over on YouTube, and letting me know what you think about our character we're going to be learning about today. Let's open up that gate and travel through the universe to Golarion once more. Whew. The gate is always a little bit difficult. Now be careful. We are on Golarion, and it's not quite the time that she'll be visiting. Maybe we'll catch a glimpse of Baba Yaga, the queen of the witches. Yes, we're going to be looking into the old crone herself, who came from our world, Earth. Interesting. Talk about that. If you're ready, let's learn about Baba Yaga. Let's dive into her. So where can we start? Well, research, books, stuff that gives you more information about her. Of course, the Legends book from 2nd edition is a great place because it gives you some information about her. Irison, because it's the country she technically rules over. Technically. And of course, the series of the adventure path down there, the Reign of Winter, and the Witch Queen's Revenge, being pretty big on stuff on her. And then campaign settings and world guide from 2nd edition, giving you a bit of much information about Irison and her too. So there's a lot of little places that we can kind of look into to pick up our picture of Baba Yaga herself. So, who is she? Who is this lady? She is also known as Yanka. She's the Queen of Witches, the Witch Queen, the Great Crone, old Nabini's dear grandmother. The Queen of Witches herself, the greatest witch in existence, nigh divine, a step away from it. Hundreds of schemes, from Earth to Traxxas to Golarion to the Great Beyond. Everywhere. Of course, also the de facto ruler of Irison. After a 23-day long war, she is human. Sarmatarian. She, if you go by class levels, Witch 20, Archmage 10, that would be 1st edition version of her. I think maybe kind of 2nd edition, but Mythic works a little differently. She comes from Earth. And where on Earth? Russia. Before Russia was there. We'll talk about it. She also has the thrice 10th kingdom in the First World, which she rules over, and of course, Irison. Now, we do know when she was born. In Golarion years, it was 2720 AR. She's 2005 years old. She was born in 75 BCE on our planet. I've talked about this before. This is a perfect example of remembering, if you have the current year in Golarion, it's 1930 in our world. The book series that had the entire battle against her, with Witch Queen's Revenge, the Reign of Winter, took place in around World War I, back when it came out. That's how you can have this. So if you were to travel from Golarion to Earth, it'd be 1930. Just merely 95 years ago, our time. So we're 95 years in the future, where Golarion story is. Anyway, I sidetracked there. When you look at Baba Yaga, she's an ancient crone. Old woman, witch's broom, basket filled with all sundry items on her back. This is a very traditional way of looking at Baba. But we have to now talk about her history. That's a great place to start. There she's strangling some adventurers. Good times, Baba Yaga. Good times. So, we go back. Earth, distant planet, 2,000 years ago. Plus, in the steppe of part of the nation of Russia. She was named Yanka back then, and belonged to a tribal people known as Sarmatians. Sarmatians. Basically, there was this particularly long, bitter winter of cruel loss, as they call it. She left her camp to fetch water, stumbled on a deep fissure of the earth warmed by heated spring, and entered to both have water and shelter from the wind and cold. She found at the bottom of the fissure a creature, a Norn, an ancient and powerful fae, known as Vigilif. Now, I'm going to tell you, you can look up, Norns are in Monster Core, so they are in the revised project for this, so you can actually look up the stats for Norn now. They still exist, so they are a female-presenting fae. They look like hooded fae women, basically, that tell history. They link to ancient cultures, ancient histories. Go by that, you know. Anyway, Norn, Vigilif. She could see the length and luster of Yanka's fate, so decided to tutor her in magic. Yanka became enraptured with this knowledge, learned from her master, but eventually remembered, I had this task to do, to return to guide my people to the spring. And so she climbed out and, oh, crap, I've been hanging out with a Norn for 2 years. Her tribe thought she was dead. They moved on. Oh. Well, I guess I'll go back to Vigilif and just continue my training as a witch. So, many, many years went by. She finished her tutelage, became an expert witch. She left the spring, wandered the world. She pondered the nature of power as she did. Her fame grew. People came to seek favors and aid. She basically became disgusted with humanity. To the constant supplications, the depths they were willing to go to obtain fame and power. And it was during this time that her present name came to fame. The Rust people she traveled among gave her the appellative Baba, meaning grandmother, because of her age at this time, great age. And they also mispronounced her name. Yanka became Yaga. Hence, Baba Yaga. Grandmother mispronounced my name. She learned to overcome immortality as a young woman. That was something that she did. But she desired to basically live out the rest of her mortal life and reach old age. She knew how to become immortal, but wanted to have that experience. She considered it foolish to grab things without considering all possibilities. So, at the age of 102, when her body started failing irrevocably, she made the leap to become basically immortal. She was like, okay, I have lived the exact moment to here. I knew how to continue on my life. I have gotten these things. And all mortal concerns that she had, gone. So first she made her base in a large burial mound known as a Kugin, long vanished from the culture that was even older than her own on the steppes. And eventually she needed a more memorable version of traveling and created her legendary dancing hut as a new home, and pulling the Kurgan that she was living in into one of its many demi-planes to have as a private sanctum where she could work on her most powerful magic. Now, we head to the thrice 10th kingdom. She grew in age, she grew in power, she explored the universe, the great beyond. She's reaching about, 500 years old. She needs some place that she can really call her own. She's got this hut that she can kind of dance around on. So she eventually went into the first world, and through magic and willpower, basically claimed a little chunk of it for themselves. Reshaped it to resemble the steppes and forests of her youth in the Russian plains, and populated it with a great variety of creatures and minions from across the universe. Fae, warring ogres, talking birds, shadowy predators, wiggle-seeking deer and elk, strange creatures from all over the place, and this became the thrice 10th kingdom. She didn't really find much pleasure here, as basically the natives of this realm treated with her of opulence and respect she didn't really want. So when she visits there, she doesn't really leave her, dancing hut at all. They have this nice, big fortress and throne, which she has never sat upon. She is technically the monarch of this place. She just kind of, didn't want a palace and anything like that, the Witch Spire. So, yeah. Funny about that. She gets to Golarion. And, this was centuries before her invasion that she had. She appeared in the dense forests of Iboria in Kazmarin and maintained a low profile, conversing with the Fae and occasionally Centaurs. rumors of her existence spread. An Iborian warlord named Kost... I'm going to butcher this name. Kostchuk visited her and demanded to make her immortal. She was rude, or he was rude. So she granted him immortality, but basically made him into a deformed giant and hid a portion of his soul in an artifact called the Work of Kvzorsti. After his defeat and humiliation, he fled Iboria to the Outer Rifts and eventually became a powerful demon lord. He never forgot this hatred towards Baba Yaga. Man, really hates her. That's when she turned her attention towards the construction of Artusa in the Deep Run Crevice, a huge monument representing the triple aspects of her personality. Once completed, she left Golarion for a long time, but a few visits to quickly check her minions, and then she kind of more permanently returned in 3313 AR. So, this is her history before Irisin and her invasion of Golarion. 3312. Terrible winter. Incredibly bitter. Northern Vastius sucked. If a warrior left their sword outside overnight, they'll find that the cold had shattered. It was not strange enough there was northern lights so bright they sustained that they were mistaken for daylight. The following year, then, Baba Yaga invaded the land of Linorm King's Ramarun, and with its Jujustor Confederacy from over the Winter Wall Glacier. I have an Irisin episode if you want to go check that out. But yes, she invaded with ice trolls, cold face, frost giants, white dragons. It's probably a different type of dragon now. The other evil creatures. The king and things there, too divided. They didn't have a great resistance. It took them 23 days to conquer. Once they were defeated, she installed her eldest daughter, Jadigua, as queen of the new nation, divided 5 provinces, and basically lost inference and left. After a century, in 3413, she returned, removed her daughter, placing her second and youngest daughter, Morganon, in charge, left again, taking Jadigua and all of her first-generation offspring, and continue this, basically, every 100 years like clockwork. This leads to what I'll call relationships, relatives, and I love this picture of old mage Dikembe having the tea with Baba Yaga at the Dancing Dolphin in Taldor. But no, this leads to her really terrible time with all of her daughters. So basically, not every daughter wanted to go quietly because of very good reasons. When she takes her daughters and all their first-generation offspring, she basically imprisons them in the dancing hut, drains them of vitality, and they become undead crone queens. Yeah, she doesn't leave the second generation, so like her granddaughters and all their descendants, the Jadigua people, that are all descended from her directly. But yeah, so it's understandable that there have been a lot of rebellions by her daughters against her. You know, they keep trying to murder and overthrow their mother because she's kind of a bitch. So there hasn't been a lot of open rebellion, though, against her. The first 3 queens, Jadigua, Morganon, Urvalane, basically didn't fight. Urvalane's successor, Halzurane, I'm butchering this name, did not go quietly. She and her children launched an open rebellion in 3713, ruthlessly put down in a single day by Baba Yaga in the 24-hour week. A century later, Queen Alina basically didn't fight at all, remembering that struggle. We had quiet successions through Queen Aktara, Saksha, Karina, a lot of her daughters, and it came to an end with the Witch War of 4213. Queen Tatiana used the power of the Torque of Krishnas, hey, that demon lord, forced him to assist her and fend off the Witch Queen. Despite the assistance, her followers were completely defeated, and her and the first generation of her offspring were banished to a place beyond Golarion, while her former loyalties were executed and her bodies hidden in the necropolis known as the Vale of Frozen Tears. Of course, Chikeg, the demon lord, still hating Baba Yaga. Another loss. After this, the next queen, Velkis, renounced her throne quietly in 4413, but trouble was once again stirred by her successor, Queen Ksenia, when in 4413 she attempted to kill Baba Yaga. Many of her children tried to do the same. They were ultimately prevented by the Witch Queen, who took them all with her and installed Pathinder as the new monarch. This feudal gesture of resistance, Irisan queens continue to give up power until we get to 4713. We'll kill Avaniana rebelled against Baba Yaga and attempted to usurp her power. Basically, that's when we get to, hey, the adventure path, where adventurers thwarted her plan, released Baba Yaga. We get Anastasia, who's a granddaughter, technically, as the new queen of Irisan. Yes, the Anastasia from Russia. Yes, go check out my Irisan episode. But yeah, she's in charge now, and it's a granddaughter instead of a daughter. And Baba Yaga has mentioned that she's been too dismissive of Golarion and wants to become more involved. What does that mean? Well, she's kind of good and kind of terrible, so yeah. So, that's her family. She has a lot of children as a woman of her age. You know, good respect on her. Keeps it going. Someone always likes her. Probably. Anyway. So, she's very powerful. She could become divine. She never considers it. She finds it annoying to hear out people asking for things every day. So she's just like, yeah, I'm almost divine. And basically can be influential with the beings of the Great Divine. And they see her not as a threat and basically likes her stories she tells. There are still some people that seek her help. She hates doing it and sets unreasonable prices for her aid. But she is honorable enough to fill her end of the bargain if they actually meet her price. So it's sort of like, hey, if you want my help, here's an horribly unreasonable price. And they're like, yeah, I'll pay it. Okay, I'll help you then. Sure. Starting at 4212, hey, back in Irisan, she's got servants of the Black, White, and Red Riders. They appear every 100 years, a year before her return. These Fey horsemen roam the countryside, punish those who have been unfaithful to the Witch Queen, and rarely rewarding those who have stayed true to her, but have very little justifications for her actions. They've changed every century. Some were granted this position without seeking it. Others became riders as part of the deal they made with Baba Yaga, and there are those that actually sought this position were rarely accepted. They're each granted a magical weapon, mount, and imbued with magical powers. Of course, we have Queen Anastasia in charge for now, but Baba Yaga is still technically in charge of Irisan and decides things there. And the people around there really don't like her. The Lord Spelkazin basically have her fear. The Linarm Kings don't like the defeat they have. And there's some others that just want to basically take over Irisan. She actually has communicated with the surviving Rune Lords, Sorsen and Belamaris. She doesn't bother distinguishing between them. Enjoys provoking them. She looks at Tarbafon as a fool that's seeking a poison chalice, and never mentions Jatembe, but every century, here's where this picture comes in, an old northern woman with a pet chicken and an old Zenji man with a leopard-headed staff can be seen talking by the window in the Dancing Dolphin Tavern in Opera, in Talbot. I love this scene. I think it's so funny that old man Jatembe, who's, another character who has disappeared from the public for thousands of years, gone out to the multiverse perhaps, left behind Golarion, still come back and visit this old woman once every 100 years to catch up a little bit, maybe have a little bit of an argument, but chat with some person that probably is his polar opposite. I love this. Hey, the Demon Lord has his eternal hatred of her, basically, wanted the immortality, didn't really want to become a Demon Lord, but, did it. And there are actually witches that have Baba Yaga as a patron. And if you want to have her as a patron, she might suddenly appear and basically want you to sweep the floor of a workshop with a tiny brush, maybe eat you if you refuse, turn you into a witch if they accept, basically, If you want to have Baba Yaga as your patron, as the Queen of Witches, you gotta do something for her, probably. Actually something for her. The Dancing Hut will probably show up. You wanted to make a deal. Your choice. Speaking of the Dancing Hut, it is a powerful artifact that she has. It allows her to travel between the universe and the great things from beyond. It's mythical. It's something that is beyond anything you want. 1E wise, it's, you know, if we're talking about for magic item 1E, it's 30th level to create, effectively. As a monster, it's a CR17 construct, actually, too. So it's not only magic item, it could stomp on you very much more. And besides Baba Yaga, there's some part-time, full-time residents of her shipping hubs. The Coffin Man, the Crone Queens, the Goj, Lohi, Zorka, Amitri Leth, basically a bunch of people that kind of live there and stuff like that. And the Dancing Cut on its chicken legs out running around. Similarly speaking, the Dancing Scroll Shop is a gingerbread stall in Skethvos in the Dimension of Time, for which Baba Yaga sells potions and scrolls at an exorbitant markup, or at no cost exchange for deceptively long stints of menial shop labor. So, she runs a stand in the Dimension of Time. You know, go visit, go check out her stand. A gingerbread stall, technically, that also sells her potions and scrolls. That's Baba Yaga for you. She is an interesting character. I did want to wait a little bit after I did my Irison video to talk about her. Just because, you know, I like to spread things out, even though I get these topics that directly match together. And yes, she is directly related to Irison very heavily. But her story is kind of crazy. And again, it links the Pathfinder world with our own very heavily. In this version of Earth that we have, magic isn't completely gone, it's just almost gone. It's a very low magic world. We've lost our magic. Doesn't mean it's not kind of there on the outskirts, but it's a little almost World of Darkness-y in that way, where magic still exists in the corners of the world. I do like that that's kind of a version of it. It's very interesting. And the stories you could... And hey, you never know. Maybe. That's the World of Shadowrun? Hey, give it, 150 years, maybe that's where it'll end up. It's little things like that you could just do that, too, which is hilariously funny. And I love those things like this that connect the world together. Interesting. It's Baba Yaga's fun, and I hope you enjoyed learning about her. She's horrible. She is not a good person. She left morality behind. She does not care. She basically wants to keep to herself and have her little adventures and do her things the way she wants. And if you interfere with it or mess with it, yeah. And she does want to kind of create these kingdoms and rulerships and connections, but she doesn't really want power or worship. And that's why she leaves people in charge. Like her daughter's in charge of Irison for so long. But, it's the weird whims of an old lady that is an eternal old lady. That's Bobby. I hope you join me today, learning all about her. Zambi. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed, as I said. If you want to see more of my stuff, I have a schedule that comes out every week that tells you when I'm doing tabletop stuff or gaming over on Twitch, when I'm uploading stuff over to YouTube, that's on my Discord, my Blue Sky, my Twitter/X, and over on the community part of my YouTube. All the other social media places, great places for updates on the schedule, what's going on in my life, sometimes some cat pics, and maybe share on other things like that. Remember to check out Discussing Tabletop Saturdays at 6. Let me know what you think about Baba Yaga in the comments. As you do that, like and subscribe and ring the bell. And of course, until the next time that we hang out on tabletop or do anything, I bid you all adieu and wonderful. Farewell.